Moses reminds them here of all the things that he did in delivering them out of Egypt. He's sitting here, and at the bottom, I've got it in bold here, his signs and his deeds that he did in Egypt. Plagues, frogs, staffs into snakes, blood into water into blood, chickens coming out of nowhere, all sorts of stuff. No, not chickens, frogs, locusts, dead, firstborn, awful stuff. God did all that. Remember that stuff. What else does he say to remember? What he did to the Egyptian army, parting the Red Sea, hello, kind of a big deal. If you see a sea being parted, it's kind of a major event. And then it lets you through, but the people who are chasing after you, trying to kill you, it goes over them. Perhaps that's God doing something. What he says next, what he did to you in the wilderness. What is he talking about there? That's a whole lot of stuff. He's saying, remember how you were like, we have no food. God, I don't know if you know about this, but desert doesn't have a lot of food. We don't like eating cactus. It's pointy. So God says, okay, how about bread from heaven? Go out in the morning and scoop it off the ground, and you got manna. They're like, oh, cool. Water from a rock. If God can make water come out of a rock, it's a pretty good God. And he points to the disobedience. The punishment, the discipline God does when he punishes Dathan and Abiram and the calf. Remember the whole calf incident. Oh, we threw all this gold in this fire and it came out into this calf and we're worshiping it. And they kill a whole bunch of people. Then he doesn't list here, but it's also victories over King Og and King Sihon. It's in the book of Numbers, in the Transjordan. The pillar of fire by night, the pillar of sky by day. God is saying, remember. Remember all that I did for you. Remember how I delivered you from Egypt. Don't forget it because it is important for your spiritual health and welfare. If they will remember what God has done in the past, they will be obedient to Him in the future. They will look back on all God has done and they will say, wow, my God really is real. They will know where He leads and He guides them, He'll provide and He'll take care of them. They'll also know that God makes good when He warns them to do something or when He promises to do something. When He says, hey, don't do this or something bad's going to happen, they go, oh, God's not serious about that. Well, He is serious and He does stuff like opening up the ground and swallowing people or death just for whatever. Or when God says, yeah, go do this and I'll bless you. He really is serious about that. This passage commands the Israelites to remember so that it leads to obedience. When they remember what God has done, they are supposed to be led to obey Him. What about you? Are you obeying God because of how you've seen Him work in your life? Like Israel, you've seen how He disciplines you when you don't obey. When you don't listen to God, bad things happen. Just straight up. Are you now more obedient because of how you've seen God work in your life? Also, you've seen how He's faithful when He commands you to go, and you go. When He leads you to some, let's just say, a hypothetical situation, some girl in a certain city in Canada, and you're a citizen from a foreign country, and you don't have any way of getting in the country, and you have no sort of job prospects, but all of a sudden, you feel God leading you to this one place, so you walk into some church that's built in some big, weird, circular shape, divided into 12 approximately equal pie pieces, and you go talk to some weird, old-looking guy who's really happy to see you for whatever reason, and he says, guess what, you have to have my job, and then boom, bam, 2 days later, the church looks at you, and you see some weird guy with a mustache and some hair, and then another guy who has no hair, looks like anywhere on him. And they go, oh yeah, sure, you can come be our pastor over the summer. Poof. You're in Canada. By the person you want to be by. God's faithful. Because you've seen Him be faithful. Okay, that's an example from my own life. That's not a hypothetical situation. That really happened. Because you've seen Him be faithful, have you followed Him more closely now? When He says go do something, are you doing it now? Have you surrendered more of your life to Him, knowing that He will take care of it no matter what? If we forget our pasts and all the things that God has done for us, we set ourselves up for spiritual stagnation. We go in circles. We sit there and we go, okay, God's trying to teach me this lesson. I'm not going to look back and see what He's done before. Hey, look, I'm here again. Well, might as well try to go around again. No, here again. Let's try it one more time. Doesn't work. The Israelites, God was like, hey, go in and take possession of the land. And they were like, I don't know. There are people there. Might be a fight. And God's like, go and do it. And they're like, no thanks. And then God's like, okay, fine. You don't want to do that? Guess what? You're going to walk around in circles for 40 years. And they're like, no. We changed our minds. 40 years in circles? Haha. No. So they go in to fight and they lose. And they're like, God, why did we lose? You told us to go in. And He was like, are you not paying attention? Hello? God is teaching us through His diverse ways. And if we don't listen, we go in circles. Our pasts are to be stepping stones for growth and a deeper relationship with the Lord. If we neglect our pasts, we cut ourselves off from a primary method of growing with God. If we cut ourselves off from the past, we limit how we let God influence us. It's just how it's supposed to work, people. We're supposed to look back and say, well, how has God been faithful? How has God taught me? What's He doing in my life? Remember. Because if you don't remember, you're missing out. Now let me take this passage and probe a little deeper into what God's done for you. For all of us here, everybody here, God has delivered us out of Egypt with miracles and with wonders. Some of our deliverances were more miraculous than others. Some people overcome drug addiction. Some people overcome sex addiction. Some people overcome horrible paths, and they look like fairly normal people now because God works in them. Some people, it was just kind of a bad situation, and God was like, hey, you need me, and you're like, okay, and so it gets a little better. But no matter what God did in your life was wonderful. How He drew you out of your Egypt. How He took you from being enslaved to something you didn't want to be enslaved to, but didn't know a way out because it looked so strong and so powerful. And you're like, man, how can I stand up to this? God says, you know what? Whoop, taking you out. God brought us from our Egypt into freedom.